Now, you will hear that a person named Dontae Morris, and you will see the notes with the name and the address, name and date of birth of that person, had a warrant of some type that caused the officers to contact a person in the car. You will also find out that that warrant, although it lists a name and date of birth, was in error. And that a person named Dontae Morris was searched for by multiple jurisdictions here in Tampa after the death of officers Kokab and Curtis. Now, if you can imagine, on June 29, 2010, Dontae Morris's life, this person's life, was turned upside down. He knew that there were multiple jurisdictions looking for a person named Dontae Morris, and he knew that what could only be described as a manhunt was underway. That this was an emotional undertaking by law enforcement, that his life was in danger.
Judge, may we approach? I hate to interrupt counsel.
Approach the bench. Please proceed.
Thank you. The person sitting before you today never imagined that there'd be a manhunt looking for him, that there'd be officers from FDLE, that there'd be officers from the Florida Highway Patrol, that there would be Tampa police officers. But one can imagine, and certainly it's not beyond the realm of belief, that when two police officers are killed, that is a situation that is most unusual. So what he did was arrange to turn himself in and to surrender to law enforcement, saying, "You're looking for Dontae Morris? I'm Dontae Morris. I surrender myself to you." Now, you will be reminded by the judge that the law and your requirements for making your decision in this case come from him. And that while this is an emotional situation, and that no one who appears before you, not Dontae Morris, not anyone else, is trying to make light of the deaths of two police officers. But Dontae Morris would remind you, just as Judge Forte will remind you, that you have a duty to hear and to see the evidence and to weigh the evidence and to follow the evidence. That you were instructed during jury selection what the standards were, and that you took a solemn oath to set aside emotion and decide this case on the law and the evidence. You will hear, as the state attorney told you, you will hear from a number of deputies who say, we heard the voice on the video, and we heard the voice of this person, and they're the same person. You will also hear that all of those people are law enforcement officers, that law enforcement officers who work for the Tampa Police Department or the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. What you won't hear is a person who's an expert in voice analysis, who's not a police officer, who's not connected to the case, who's not involved in the case emotionally or in any other fashion, say, I compared these two recordings and they are the same person. You heard that the driver of the vehicle was identified as a person named Courtney Brantley, and that she was involved in a relationship with Dontae Morris. You also heard that she never identified the person who was in the vehicle with her. The prosecution has told you that you'll hear from a person named Ashley Price, and that Ashley Price will tell you, oh, I came to the police, I came of my own volition, and I have evidence about this murder, and I have to tell you that Dontae Morris made statements to me. But you'll also hear from Ashley Price that she didn't really know Dontae Morris, that she hadn't known him for a very long period of time, that she was introduced to him by someone else, and that, as she puts it, she didn't know him like that. You'll also hear from Ashley Price that she had concerns about her children being taken away, that she had concerns about possibly being charged in this case. And you will hear that she received financial benefits in assistance to move, in assistance to gain a subsidized apartment, and some forms of financial assistance from the office, from the officials involved in the case. You are here, and it is your job to wade through the testimony and evidence of the witnesses, to set aside their potential motives, their potential biases, and find the truth. The right to have a fair trial is precious in our system. It's one that's inviolate. It's one that's sacrosanct. The state has requirements to prove its case beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. Today, I am here along with Byron Heilman and Christopher Bolt to represent Dontae Morris. And that is our duty and our privilege, and that is what we intend to do. We would ask that you, as jurors, follow your sacred oath to take on that difficult job of trying this case, deciding the facts, weighing through the evidence, winnowing out emotion, and reaching a just and lawful verdict. Thank you.
I remember the jury, we're going to proceed with the testimony. I just want to remind you that what the lawyers say to you during their opening statement does not constitute what the evidence is in the case. You'll hear evidence beginning now. I'll ask the state to please call its first witness.
Actually, before we do that, may we first?
Yes, sir.
stand right here, face the clerk, and
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this cause be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
right beside me.
Please slide up in, tell us your full name, please, ma'am.
Kelly Curtis,
Spell your first name and your last name.
Kelleycurtis.
Thank you. Please proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, good morning.
Morning.
Ms. Curtis, did you know Officer David Curtis?
Yes, I did.
And how, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
He was my husband.
Okay. In June of 2010, did he work for the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what did he do for them?
He was a patrol officer.
And how long had he worked for the Tampa Police Department?
He had been on a little over 3 years.
And on that day of June 29th, 2010, you recall that day, I'm assuming?
Can't forget it.
Okay. Did he go on duty that day?
Yes, he did.
And do you recall what his shift hours were?
He worked midnights. He'd go in at 7 and he'd be off at 6:30
So
in
he'd
the
work
morning.
through the night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ms. Curtis, did your husband have a habit of carrying a small notebook when he was on duty?
Yes, he did. He would carry it in his front breast pocket.
Okay, up here on his chest?
Mm-hmm.
May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes.
Ms. Curtis, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State C for identification. And I'm going to remove one of the items and just ask, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And does that appear to be one of your husband's notebooks?
Looks just like all the others I have.
Okay. And in the years that you knew your husband, did you become familiar with his handwriting?
Yes, very well.
Do you recognize the handwriting on that notebook?
It's his handwriting.
That's Officer David Curtis's handwriting?
Yes, it is.
Enter the witness, Your Honor.
Is this C1 or 2 or what?
This is part of a composite of two items, State C.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I did not hear that admitted in evidence. Is that?
No, I did not tender it for admission.
Exhibit C. He just referred to Exhibit C. You have questions? Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please call your next witness, State.
State would call, sorry, Your Honor, State would call Officer Stephen Roy.